I don't know. It's your stream.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to Common Sense Live. I am joined by Eleanor Goldfield.
Go live on Rockfin.
That's her new motto that she yells. All right, let's go live on Rockfin just to quiet her down. 1 second.
I have one job here, people. One job. And that's to remind Lee to go live on Rockfin.
That is not your only job. There are other jobs. Hey, everybody. Welcome. Thanks for being here. Thanks for joining us. Please take a second to share this. Let people know. Please hit subscribe and thumbs up. When you hit thumbs up, it actually does help. It actually gets YouTube to show it to more people and all that shit. We're also live on Rockfin, as we just mentioned, rockfin.com/Lee Camp. And we're going to get into a bunch of stories today. And also deal with your topics or questions. If you have any so far, Volante wants to know how people got here so fast. If you mean here as in Earth, if you mean life, then there's been a lot of fucking.
It's also
that's how people got here so fast.
It's taken a few billion years too. So, fast in the relative sense, I suppose.
True. But we are all here now. So at least we did that. But yeah, thanks for joining us. Carl would like, that's a question for Eleanor.
Carl, where have you been? That's my one and only job, is to make sure that we're live on Rockfin. And yes, we're live on Rockfin. That was the first thing I said. There will be a quiz on this later, class.
Our unofficial assistant Nick says the video's messed up.
Oh no.
But hopefully, let us know if other people's videos messed up. Ours seems to be looking as if it's fine, but who knows?
I guess it's hard to. Well, you can look on the YouTubes.
On the YouTubes.
Thank you, Diana, for so much.
Getting it rolling.
Yeah. So, just so folks know, if you're just joining us and haven't been part of the donation system, then blurry fuzzy video. What the hell? Apparently, we're getting more.
There's not a lot I can do about that because we are on Ethernet. We're not on Wi-Fi, so that's as good as it's going to get, probably.
That's bizarre. Let me check something.
Someone else is saying blurry.
Okay. All right. Well, that's done. So that means that.
Welcome to our show, Eleanor's shoulder, as we figure out our computers.
I'm sorry. I was trying to.
Brian says rub the lens. I don't think that's the issue. Hold on.
Sounds like something like a grandmother would do.
Is that better? So you were in the middle of telling people about the donations, weren't you?
I was. Yes. Okay.
Ben, the answer is yes. You can blame Russia. Always blame Russia.
If you stub your toe, if you can't find your keys, whatever the problem is, blame Russia. Remember that song from the South Park movie, Blame Canada? We should remake that, Blame Russia. Actually, that would be a great. Where's Weird Al Yankovic on that one?
Or where's South Park again?
Anyway, little tangent there. If you're just joining us, then Diana has gotten us started off with the donations. Thank you again, Diana. And we're raising money this week, like the previous weeks. We're raising money for y'all. So folks who are in need of some support right now, message us at commoncensored@protonmail.com and get a little bit of support from the donations that come in here. So thank you, Sunny. So if you're watching on YouTube, then you can donate via the super chat button right where you put your comment. If you are on Rockfin, you can donate there. If you're watching this after the fact or you are on Facebook or something, you can donate via Venmo @Lee Camp. And again, all of these donations are going to this community.
Thank you, Lucy. Sonny's asking about a nuclear conflict between China, Taiwan, Russia, and Ukraine. Let's hope it doesn't get to that. But people love that. You can pull that down. It's covering our faces. People love to. Thank you, Lucy. People love to talk about how hard Trump was on Russia, but meanwhile, he was pulling out of all the nuclear agreements that Russia wanted to stay in. And
Trump
rather
is harder on Russia than way harder.
Our mainstream media, rather than being like, oh, this is really fucked up, we shouldn't be this hard on Russia, we should try and have diplomacy with them because we don't want nuclear annihilation. Instead, all of our mainstream media was like, we got to be harder on Russia. Pulling out of nuclear agreements is awesome.
That's pretty shifty, John. Well, they like cold climates, so that actually makes sense. Them being in the fridge like that.
They do.
Yeah.
They do. If you get a Russian, keep them in the fridge, all right? Because they will melt quick.
Thank you, G Birch. Appreciate it. I don't know who's Old Man Potato. Do we know who that's in reference to?
I said Old Potato Head. I don't know.
Or is this a reference to Mr. Potato Head being?
I'm gonna go with Lawrence O'Donnell. No, I don't know who it is.
Thank you all. Welcome. So yeah, we are taking your questions, and we're also talking about a few things. One in particular, we're circling back to something that Lee loves talking about, don't you?
Is this AOC?
Yeah.
Oh my God, I love this. No,
hi,
I mean, oh hey, Caitlin. Everybody, check out Move to Amend. I think the reason I find it fascinating is not because of AOC as a person, but because it shows where the Overton window is. It shows where allowable discussion is. AOC is considered crazy left wing, or at least that's what they try and tell us. Meanwhile, she is just doing video after video of justifying neocon war hawk Joe Biden. That's her latest thing. She just, in the last interview that everyone's been talking about, put out a thing saying, I think Biden has exceeded all expectations of progressives. She said, we progressives, which she is apparently still considering herself. She said, we progressive, thanks, Devin. We progressives were worried that Biden wouldn't be very progressive, but he has exceeded all expectations. And should I pull up the image?
Yes, please.
All right. Here, do you remember who made this image? Thank you, Sonny.
This comes from the Decadent Socialist on Instagram. If you're not familiar with that account, I definitely recommend you check it out.
There it is. Shall we go through some of these?
Yeah, let's go. Thank you, Sonny.
So this is obviously not a real image, but it's pretty hilarious. This is AOC talking about Joe Biden being so good at progressive issues. Mass deportations. He's deported tens of thousands. It's probably close to 100,000 now. Kids are still in cages. They've just changed the name of them to facilities or overflow facilities or some shit like that. There are photos of kids and people stacked on top of each other using NASA blankets. Like, that makes it better. As long as you have a tinfoil blanket, I always feel that everything's going right in life. I don't know. Did we want to highlight any of these? I didn't know if I was interrupting.
Can I highlight while you're sharing a screen? How does that work? Oh, it does. StreamYard.
Is that too much going on? I'm getting dizzy.
Yeah, Zabi. I mean, a good point. The squad is their establishment, unfortunately. But I will say this: don't feel ashamed, because I think it's important to keep believing that there are good people out there, just not necessarily the ones running for office. But I mean, look, I volunteered for John Edwards' campaign, so that's way worse. So don't feel bad.
Yeah, they call Pelosi the mama bear, right?
Mm-hmm.
So Joe Biden himself could cancel to move on to the next one. Oh, well, go ahead.
Caitlin points out that the only person who's exceeded expectations is AOC, and the expectations that neoliberals had of her covering their asses. Very good point. I feel like she's gone above and beyond the call of duty there in terms of uplifting and pedestaling the powers that be and the status quo. Sally Forth.
Sally Forth. I knew her in high school. She was a weirdo. So Biden could actually cancel student debt on his own legally. He could do it with an executive action, but instead they, have slowly decreased the amount they say they're canceling. So initially they'd floated the idea of $50,000 up to $50,000. Then they went down to 25. Then I think last I heard it was $10,000. And then I think there was a memo going out that they were going to just give everybody a coupon for shake and bake. So it's slowly decreasing to just about nothing. And nothing has happened on the student debt front. Even fucking fuck Schumer, what's his name? Chuck Schumer. Even Chuck Schumer was saying that he wants to cancel student debt or relieve people of student debt, because guess what? It just it makes people not able to buy all the shitty stuff that they want them to buy. Like people can't exist in society. So weirdly, it would actually be good for their garbage capitalist system if people got out from under their student loan debt. But
yeah, and the we just got a message that said StreamYard has lost access to your Facebook account. That's weird. So if you were watching this on Facebook,
yeah, if you were watching this on Facebook, I guess you just lost it.
We're figuring it out. We've got our tech team on it.
Do we have a tech team?
Well, that's you, but it sounds better if I say there's a tech team working on it. Hey, we're back.
It's telling us we're back, but okay. I don't know. Thanks again, Sonny.
Thank you, Sonny. Sorry, y'all, for the technical difficulties.
Yeah. So, wouldn't Richard Nixon an address be better than? Yeah, Richard Nixon was actually good on some things. He he created the EPA. He wanted UBI. He wanted minimum wage. All right, so let's finish going through these. You want to do a couple? Police budget.
Well, and it's not even on here, but increasing the police budget is one thing. He also increased the military budget, and you can tell the way that people are talking about this is that so because Biden also passed this infrastructure bill, which was going to make give Tesla a huge boost by putting charging stations everywhere, not addressing the fact of endless consumption. And the need for the perpetual mining of things like lithium, and just the fact that it's totally unsustainable for every fucking human being to have a car. He also increased the military budget, but the way that it's being talked about is like, oh my God, look at all the money that Biden is spending on infrastructure and getting money out to people, and then just a little bit for the military. And it's like, well, no, not a little bit. Like the fraction that he's raising, whoa.
Oh, that would be better if it weren't over my face. Hold on.
The fraction that he's raising the military budget would pay for list some things. It would pay for healthcare. Anything. It would pay for canceling rent, for canceling student debt,
public schools.
Right. So I mean, it's fucking absurd to say, oh, it was just a little bit. Well, but in relation to what? Because the military budget is so incredibly bloated that a little bit of the military budget could literally pay to end hunger on the entire planet for several years.
Yep. They estimate it would take $32 or $35 billion a year to end world hunger. So our military budget could end world hunger for 100 years. I mean, it's $1 trillion. It could end it for a very long time.
Did we miss a donation?
Did we miss Lucy's donation? Thank you, Lucy.
If we did, I apologize and thank you. What was it? Oh, and in line with that, the third largest military, I think we talked about this last time, but the third largest military in the world is actually the U.S. police. There, in terms of the budget.
Oh yeah. The U.S. police are the third largest military budget in the world. Right. So if you took the U.S. police budget and pretended it was a country, it would be the third largest military budget in the world. So May would like to thank all you for the donations. She is one of the ones that got helped last week, it appears.
So thank y'all.
So thanks, May. And thanks to everybody who helped make that happen. As we've said before, all these donations go to those in need, and it's any of you who are struggling. It's kind of a solidarity fund amongst us. So many people have gotten help. We've read thank yous before. I don't know if I have any thank yous easily accessible at the moment, but people are very thankful, and most of the stories are incredibly gripping because people are in really dire times right now, and it's a nice way that we can all help each other out. Just to wrap up AOC's excellent sign that I'm sure she actually held up at some point, maybe not. Biden has bombed Syria. He's increased police budget. We did that. No wealth tax so far. No health care during a pandemic. I mean, if there was one time to give everybody health care, it's right now. No minimum wage raise so far because the parliamentarian won't let it happen. It's like, could you imagine Donald Trump ever being held down by the parliamentarian if he wanted his bullshit to do? And this sign doesn't actually have a lot of things. It doesn't have the continued weapon sales to places like UAE and Saudi Arabia, the nothing on Israel, allowing them to continue to kill Palestinians and the apartheid state there, of course. You've got what was it I was going to say? Oh, the economic war on Syria, the economic war on Venezuela, the economic war on so many countries, Iran, around the world, withholding of vaccines so that countries are just fucked out there during a pandemic. There's so many things that are not on that fake. And even
domestic stuff like canceling rent, making sure that people have housing and food. Biden actually canceled a Trump administration food aid program. Like, wow. And then when the excuse they gave was that it was hemorrhaging money and it wasn't like useful. Okay. But then they were asked, are you going to replace it? And they said, oh, no. So it's like, well, I could understand if you're like, hey, this Trump era plan, this food aid plan is some bullshit. We're going to replace it with something much better. Okay. But you're just like, fuck feeding people. That's awful. That's some Trumpism bullshit. And we're getting rid of it. Like, wow. Okay. That's great. And I can tell you from experience that mutual aid networks are already struggling to deal with the lack of food security that people have. So any kind of food aid programs that were available, which was fucking paltry, were being strained anyway. And to cut those right now is just a level of, I don't even know. What's a good adjective there? I don't know.
Twatbaggery? Level of twatbaggery? Is it really?
I like that. Thank you. Yay, Nick. Thank you.
Thank you, Nick.
I agree. Let's get the donations rolling.
Plant-based food, always a good idea.
And absolutely. There's probably, check out if there's a Food Not Bombs chapter in your area. They do great work. If you can't cook, you can always hang out and help folks get food, serve the food, just be there and support, etc. So yeah.
Beverly was also asking our opinion on the K-Hive. It's interesting. I have a lot of problems with AOC. Love the K-Hive, though. They have just done great stuff. Kamala Harris, she's pretty much right on everything.
Somebody was asking what you thought of Kamala just coming out and saying the quiet part loud and saying that our wars were fought for oil.
I was kidding, of course. Kamala Harris is just another, neoliberal, but where neoliberals stand now is basically neocon. With the little liberal, smaller policies. Yes, I on the New Redacted tonight, I did a segment on Kamala Harris's.
Your agent is.
Oh yeah, okay. I did a segment on Kamala saying that basically that our wars have been for oil, and she said that upcoming is wars for water. And it's pretty horrific to hear them speak that way. Although I'd like to see that they're admitting what horrible war criminals they are.
Thank you, Jonathan.
Jonathan.
Yeah. No, it reminds me of a great meme I saw the other day that basically very succinctly said that anything that people need to survive should not be sold for profit. And
that sums it up.
That's pretty much everything. Like we have to buy shelter, we have to buy food, we have to buy water. And just the fact that, water is like traded on the stock market, like that's fucking insane.
So Huzzah is talking about Matt Orfala's article on the K-Hive troll army. It turns out Matt Orfala, and I think he might have some other sources as well, but he wrote a great article for the Gray Zone about how the DNC has been accusing various people of using bots, sometimes Russian bots, sometimes not Russian bots, but bots to to harm the DNC or harm candidates like Hillary Clinton. No, the bots are coming after me. Well, in fact, Matt Orfalea has revealed that a large bot army paid for by the DNC or various other lobbying groups has been operating for Kamala Harris. So the Hive army is basically a bot army, is largely a bot army. Which is hilarious because they accuse others of being a bot army. In fact, Kamala, this was one of my favorite, Kamala famously said that the whole Kaepernick thing came about from Russian bots. And it's like, are the Russian bots in his knee? They forced him to kneel down? Or what exactly, how exactly did that happen? Well, I just
love that like, okay, so let's say that the Russians were pushing Black Lives Matter. Cool. I'm glad somebody else on this fucking planet thinks that Black Lives Matter. I'm all for it. Like, right. That's not actually an indictment against the Russians. Of course, that's not true. But just the idea that, like, they're trying to push for equal rights.
They're causing problems in our country by telling people racism shouldn't exist.
Right.
By trying to stop racist shit. They're harming our country. Right.
Yeah, it's pretty remarkable.
So what other topics do you have for us, guys? Feel free to throw them out there. Like we've said, all the donations are going to people who are struggling, people who need a few extra bucks. If that is you, you can email commoncensory@protonmail.com. As I've said all along, it's not tons of money. It's like you might get $50 or $100, but so if you need to have hire someone to kidnap your niece who you can't stand, that's probably going to cost a little more. So we don't have enough for that. But
well, we can throw in some money for that, Jim.
Thank you, Jim.
You. Well, no worries. I feel like circle
Jim,
back later.
I feel like Jim nailed it. I feel like he did.
Yes, Beverly, that was another one, is that Russia's going to.
Oh, Maddow said that.
Oh, she did?
That was Rachel Maddow. Said she showed a weather map and said it's -20 in like Minnesota or something. Could you imagine if Russia turned off their heat right now? That was her segment.
Okay. Thank you again, Sunny.
Thanks to you.
That's a big question, and I don't really have an answer in terms of Hugh. We are not
gonna.
I feel like I made this joke last week, but I'm gonna make it again, unless you mean these. Can I make that joke 2 weeks in a row?
There's some killer guns.
We are not gun owners, but I am.
She was like, "Damn it, I was just gonna swat you," but no.
But I am pro community self-defense, if that answers your question.
But mainly windmill kicks.
Which you can't do, so. But I have a little what's it called? Like, I've got a little it's on my keychain, and it's got little it's shaped like a cat. It's got little cat ears.
Oh yeah,
they can, poke.
I don't think you should do it like this.
Well, they're like.
It's a thing you can hold like a fist, and it would have. Right. So it would give your fist spikes. What do you call that? They're not, they're kind of brass knuckles.
They're not brass knuckles.
Yeah, no,
because
they're
made. Yeah. It's made out of plastic. It's shaped like a cat. It's a completely different story.
Thank you, Christine. Someone was asking. I can't find it now. They were asking basically about defeatism.
Beverly, you have a sword and you fence. That's so awesome. I always wanted to do fencing when I was in high school, but I couldn't. I am, however,
I
in
like
the market
fencing.
for a battle axe.
Border wall, go! Sorry. What was
that? What were you going to say?
I don't know.
Okay.
He calls them kitty knuckles.
Yeah, kitty knuckles, plastic kitty knuckles. Although I feel like my affinity for alliteration, I would probably say plastic kitty knuckles.
Kitty knuckles?
Kitty knuckles.
Okay.
Fun fact. Do you know why? Oh, no. Do you know why the English language has a K in front of things like no and night and knee. It's because of Norse language. Because in Nordic languages, they pronounce the K. So, for instance, it's knecht for night, it's knä for knee. So there's a little extra trivia for you.
There you go, little Swedish trivia.
Mm-hmm.
Beverly would like us to know she is a nationally.
Oh my gosh, that's awesome.
Nationally touring fencer. Which Beverly, you should be against all borders, fences, and walls.
If you were anywhere near DC, I would definitely ask for lessons because I wanted to learn how to fence forevers.
Lucy says she's a Jedi, so that might be
Sweet.
Fencing. Thank you, Richard.
Thank you, Richard.
For the donation. All donations go to people who are struggling right now.
But actually, if y'all are interested in these sort of like self-defense things, I can recommend Meow Defense Shop, which I love. It's a Latinx owned business, and they make really great little like everything from things that look like lighters and really cool little gadgets that are great for self-defense. So I recommend that if y'all are in the market. I got several little of those gadgets for friends of mine.
So someone was asking about defeatism and whether it ever feels like we can't change anything.
Yeah, I mean, we're human. This question came up the other day when I was doing a panel after a screening, of my film, and somebody asked the same question, and my answer was yeah. And I think I'm kind of reminded of that line from Princess Bride, like, life is pain, highness, and anyone who says differently is selling something. It's true, right? Like, life sucks sometimes, and especially when you do this work, when you see the awful shit that humans are capable of, whether that be cops or whether that be other state entities. Of course you feel despair and you feel defeatist at times. But then you always see the most beautiful things that people are capable of. Like, the front lines are where some of the most horrible things that humans can do and some of the most beautiful things that humans can do happen. Holy shit, the Sand Queen. Thank you.
Thank you, Sand Queen.
So yeah, I think that the big point there is that we should allow ourselves to feel awful. We should allow ourselves to feel despair, because those things are important. And to try and cover them up, which I've tried to do, trying to cover them up is only like a recipe for panic attacks. And those are no fun. And so I think it's important to allow ourselves to feel that way and remember that we are surrounded by incredibly beautiful and powerful human beings doing this vibrant and radical work. And that always brings me back, and it brings my spirits up, and it reminds me why I have hope and why I feel that doing this is the most beautiful thing that I can do. So
And just to give another kind of side of it is, I think you can never really know what impact you're having in the moment or in the day. I mean, sometimes you do, sometimes it's obvious, but in general, a lot of the change that is created takes decades, and you don't know where the seeds first got placed, and the ripples continue to build. And so you do these things in the hopes that there will be a better world 50 and 100 years from now. And, we won't all live to see it, but this is all working towards some greater justice and greater equality and greater sustainability. And you can't really know where the end game will be, but I think you've got to, if you want to be a long-term activist and not someone who burns out, you got to train yourself and remind yourself really that this is not necessarily about tomorrow. I mean, there are those moments. There are those moments where you get a death row prisoner off of death row, or those moments where you see something passed in a city council that will make a difference for a certain housing project or something. So there are those moments, but I think that a lot of this stuff it's really got to be a long-term goal, that you are going to fight for justice and fight for sustainability in a better world long term, and you're not always going to see the day-to-day gains.
Yeah, and Lola, I was just thinking of that quote as well. I think, I can't remember who it's from. I believe it's, I want to say it was an Asian philosopher, but basically like, wise is the man who plants a tree knowing that he will never sit under its shade. And I think that that's really, and that's been like redone and like repurposed by so many people, like, Huey P. Newton, for instance, like in his autobiography, Revolutionary Suicide, talks about how he doesn't know that he's ever going to see anything change, but that he's got to do this. He's got to fight for his community. That's the only way that he can live with hope and dignity. So I think, yeah, that's,
Speaking of People's Party, thanks, Beverly, for bringing it up. They just got a big endorsement from, I think, like railroad workers or something. The Union for Railroad Workers just endorsed People's Party. As we mentioned on the live stream, I think last week, they have begun taking recommendations for candidates that they would support or, be a part of their campaign. So if you know people you think should run on the People's Party platform, you can go to the People Party website and recommend them.
Indeed. Thanks, y'all, for all the great comments you're throwing out here.
It's true, Miguel. It does also have to do with inspiring others. You may not see the change, but if you've inspired a dozen people to fight for that change, then that's also very important.
Thank you, Sonny.
Thanks, Sonny.
I
have not seen the latest James O'Keefe. James O'Keefe is a sad, pathetic sack of shit who occasionally does reveal something important, kind of like a blind squirrel finds a nut sometimes. But he also has carefully, falsely edited videos. He helped destroy Acorn, which was really just a community aid organization. It's really pathetic, what he does and who he is. But yeah.
Thank you, Brienne. Free Donziger. That's Lee has covered that as well.
Important issue. Stephen Donziger. For those who don't know him, look him up. I think he, along with maybe Mumia Abu-Jamal, is probably the most famous political prisoner in the U.S. right now. Not outside the U.S. That one would probably go to Assange.
Right. Well, I don't know. Leonard Peltier, I think, is up there. Has been up there.
He is.
Quite some time.
I mentioned him last week. Okay.
Okay.
You don't need to do the whole. I got the right answer. Let's see what else. So thanks again for the donations. Oh, I guess we'll do this now. If let's try for the $100. If we get $100 in the next 10 minutes, we'll stay an extra 10 minutes until 9:00.
Pray tell, where is the money going, Lee?
I want to get an iguana, so just towards that.
No.
All the money goes to people in need, and it is those of you who email commoncensored@protonmail.com. We can help some people out. We have been able to help out dozens so far, which is really fucking awesome.
Wow, Lucy, thank you.
Thanks, Lucy. And thanks, Nick.
Yeah, there's that is a good point, and something that I've been hearing a lot, that people are getting less money when they go back to work than they were getting with unemployment.
Thanks, Jonathan.
And actually, people have, and I talked about this in an article back in January, people have gotten bills to pay back unemployment that the government thinks that they got, that they were paid wrongly. So, I mean, imagine not just that you're, desperately trying to get by on unemployment, but then the government's like, we overpaid you. I'm sorry. You're going to have to pay that back. That's a great point. And it really just proves yet again, this exceptional Joe Biden that the minimum wage is obviously too fucking low. The idea that you are busting your ass and still, risking your health to work when you're getting paid far less than it takes to survive. I mean, they've done so many studies that have showed that the minimum wage in the United States, there's no place in the United States, not even like Wichita, where you can get a very, very base 2-bedroom apartment anywhere in the United States if you make minimum wage. So imagine like a family that needs to get like a fucking 2-bedroom apartment, which is not that big, and can't because they make minimum wage. And remember like back in the day, like the Leave It to Beaver days and shit, when it was like one person, usually the guy, that was working and somehow they had a house?
Yeah.
And that was a thing that happened?
One dude, average job, had a house, 2 kids, a car, a dog, a bicycle, a windmill, a fucking go-karts, a pogo stick, hula hoop, and a TV dinner.
No, well, I mean, the wife had to make the dinner, let's be honest. There was no TV dinner there.
Yes, this is true. If minimum wage had kept up, and this is minimum wage from roughly 1965, I think it was 65, 68. It was $1.65 was the minimum wage. And if you account for both inflation and productivity and income disparity, income distribution, that $1.65 would be $23, $24 now. So if minimum wage had just basically stayed the same for society, it would be $23, $24. The minimum wage.
Right.
Now imagine if you're doing a little better than minimum wage.
Mm-hmm.
It's been a long-term $50 trillion theft by the 1%, the top 5%. The latest numbers from Institute of Policy Studies are that $50 trillion has been basically sucked from the bottom 80% of the country and given to the hands of the 1% over the past 50 years.
Yeah, no, it's absolutely remarkable. And yeah, Jasmine, absolutely. All of the basic needs that humans require should be free. The fact that they're sold for profit is grotesque. And yeah, I mean, this is something that is going to be used. It already is being used by not just Republicans, by Democrats, and pointing out that like, well, see, this is why we can't do a UBI, because everyone would just want to sit home and then we wouldn't have people doing any jobs anymore. And people like people don't want to work. People don't want to be part of society. And of course, the reality is that every time that they've tested something like UBI, or people don't quit their jobs and just sit at home jacking it. People are able to perhaps, I don't know, switch jobs and get something that they actually enjoy doing, or they're able to get out of an abusive relationship because they can actually afford to leave that abusive space. Good things fucking happen when people don't have to worry
Chuck.
About survival, about getting their basic needs met, as Jasreen pointed out. Thank you, Chuck.
So with Chuck's donation, I think we're at $60 of the 100. If we can get to 100 in a few more minutes, we'll stay an extra 10 minutes. But yeah, all these donations go to those who are struggling. And
thank you. I wanted to highlight.
Watch out for the squeal.
I wanted to highlight.
You might want to turn your treble down on your screens.
Oh, look at you with the audio lingo. I wanted to highlight Bill's quote because, yes, this is another quote that I oftentimes use as well. Mussolini's
Thank you, Volante.
Quote about what fascism should be more appropriately called, and that's corporatism. So, yeah, makes you think, don't it?
Thank
you, Yori. Thank you, Volante.
Yes, Volante. I not just in terms of the red-blue thing, but it seems everybody wants to treat it like sports, as in we're just going to spend all day, every day saying who moved to the ball 5 yards, who, oh, look what that person said. We people really do treat it like sports. And when you try to talk about it in a more holistic and broader term, you know, about like abolishing the police or getting past capitalism, some people pay attention. Obviously, you guys are here, but a lot of people are like, yeah, okay, I agree, get rid of cap, maybe, I don't know, but what did Ted Cruz say? What did Chuck Schumer say?
It's like middle school. Like, did you hear what so and so said about so and so?
They really want it to be sports.
Yeah, and this is another good point, that, you know, the idea that full time is what it was in like what people were fighting for at the turn of the 20th century, like in 1900, where it was, you know, the idea was 8 hours for work, 8 hours for rest, and 8 hours.
All right, Natasha.
8 hours for what we will.
And Christine.
And the idea that people should still be working 40 hours a week, that's fucking absurd. Particularly, wow, thank y'all. Particularly when you consider that back at the turn of the century, we needed most of those jobs because they were producing things that we required, like farming or, you know, building roads.
Back when we did things that mattered.
Right. And now it's like, we do not
Smack.
We do not need.
Thanks, Nick.
The people who we don't not need the jobs where people are like moving money from one digital space to another, or where somebody's making a spreadsheet about, I don't know, give me something useless. How about spreadsheets in general? Does anybody else fucking hate spreadsheets?
Folding shirts at Banana Republic. It's like, it's now I know people take these jobs because they need money, because they need to have a life. So I don't begrudge people taking the job, but it's like, we don't need people walking around folding every shirt that you just touched. Oh my God, someone touched it, and they run over and they fold it. And it's like, it is tons of just bullshit jobs. Or the one I talked about in my column that I wrote about it is the fucking leaf blowers out in the parking lot outside our apartment. They just blow the fuck out of leaves for like 5 hours a day. And then the leaves blow back 3 minutes later. And it's crazy. But what was it? Someone commented something that I forgot.
That's true.
that I totally forgot now.
Yes, Austin quoting Office Space. Yeah, that'd be great. Yeah. Yes.
Can you highlight Sonny's? He donated.
Yes.
There you go. Thank you, Sonny. Occasionally O'Keefe will do something interesting. So he is a shithead who occasionally reveals something about CNN or what have you. But aside from that, economic justice won't come with money printing. People need assets back. Money in America is paper. I agree. But it's just pumping more money to Wall Street, as they've been doing with this pandemic, is not going to really help people.
Thank you, Nathan. This is another great point. So many of the menial tasks that are done could be done by, automation. And so we could have, and this was like a dream. A dream that people had was that, like, by the year 2000, we would be living these luxurious lives of leisure because we wouldn't need to work because so much would be automated by that point. And it's true, a lot was and a lot still could be, but then you wouldn't have a system that's based on the extraction of our lives, of our time and our labor to serve to serve the ruling class. So I think that that's a great point. I mean, I don't know a specific percentage, but yeah, I mean, so much of our brain power is wasted on those bullshit jobs. Thank you, Yuri. And I think that also speaks to the power of creative thinking and the power of thinking.
Thanks, journeyman.
Outside the box, and why, why you see in schools why creative classes are some of the first to go, because they don't pop out these dutiful proles who just work for the system.
That's a great point.
They learn how to think outside the box because they've been drawing and they've been thinking in different spaces, and they've been learning to play music, which expands your thinking.
Yep. So every school says, "Oh, we don't have enough money in the budget. What do we get rid of? Let's get rid of music. Let's get rid of art. Let's get rid of creative writing. Let's get rid of poetry class. Let's get rid of those classes where they read great works of fiction. Let's get rid of all that shit."
Right. So
we'll put in more business classes.
Exactly. Exactly.
Thank you, Yori, for the big donation.
Thank you so much.
Ow.
Hold on. Sorry.
Yeah, what's going on?
I'm switching my leg.
Sorry, folks. Earthquake.
There was an earthquake in DC that cracked the Washington Monument thanks to fracking.
Yes, it was a fracking earthquake. Yes, Yori, they are. Oh, StreamYard just lost access to Facebook again. If you're on Facebook, we apologize for that. Yeah, they are trying to steal more time from people because during the pandemic they're working. They're working from home, and so they don't have to commute. They also have software on a lot of these computers that they're forcing workers to get that actually know whether you've gone to the bathroom or what the fuck, whether you take 10 minutes to go, rub one out, and they're like, why aren't you at work? You know how it is.
Yeah, no, that Orwellian shit is so fucking creepy. So yeah, I hope everyone on Facebook can hear us. Apologies for the
Facebook seems to be trying to kick us off a lot.
Well, I guess I'm not surprised. It's the next round of censorship. Sorry. Yes. Another good quote. Yes. Yes, absolutely. May Day is coming up this Saturday, so we'll be talking about that on our podcast, Common Censored. Like to commemorate that because it's not commemorated. Here's a little fun fact, and I'll be talking about this as well on the podcast. May 1st is actually officially known as Law Day. I'll have to recheck which president it was that made that, but it was clearly to amputate the movement that was trying to keep the work of May Day going, the work of our true Labor Day, which is actually commemorated around the fucking world, but not in the place that it happened, which is here in the U.S. So yeah, it's an important thing to commemorate. It's important to remember what happened and to really
thanks, Rachel.
To really try and echo those stories in the present. Thank you, Rachel. New Zealand. Oh, I'm jealous for several reasons.
Oh, you guys get to have society back? What's that like?
Yeah, and your home is just beautiful. From what I hear, I've never actually been. I was in Australia, but I just didn't make it over. And it's just so far away.
It is. You know what it is? You get off the plane in Australia. I've only been to Australia. You get off the plane in Australia, and you think, I am never getting in a fucking plane again for at least 20 to 30 years. I will not be seen near a plane if anyone tries to make me do that, because fuck it all. And then someone's like, do you want to go to New Zealand? You just have to get on this plane. And you're like, I will murder you and your whole family. So,
yeah, it's a long flight. It is long. Although the last time that when I flew, I've only flown once. When I flew to Australia, I flew Virgin Australia, and they just kept coming around with Australian wine, and so I was fine. That was a good flight.
Hello to Australia, by the way.
Yes.
I'm sure some of you Australians are out there.
Thank you, Pharaoh.
Thank you, Pharaoh. Focus on anti-money. Yeah, I mean, here's the thing, though. Like, as with Bitcoin, it's like Bitcoin is better than a central banking system, but getting rid of money or whatever is not. It would have some positive impacts to change things, but it's not, as long as you have capitalism, as long as you have a system that has some form of profit, even if it's not printed dollars, whatever, on water, on air, on life, on labor, then all of those things will be exploited. So yes, there needs to be a shift away from money, but you can't just shift money yet have the exact same economic system that is life blind and decoupled from nature.
Right. I was going to say, I think like anti-capitalist is really the foundation, and maybe that's what you meant, but and I think that's also very powerful because it speaks to not just the issues that people have with like buying groceries and accessing healthcare, but the destruction of our planet, right? The idea of never-ending extraction and profit on a planet with finite resources. So it really bundles all of that into one fucking horrific package. So yeah.
Oops, not this one.
Yeah, Bitcoin is not anti-capitalist. A very good point.
I agree. There are some positives about it, such as like the fact that those who are unbanked, as they call it, like people, especially in what we used to call the third world countries, that have no ability to get a bank or really store money or send money back and forth, they can get use of it. So there are some positives, but it's not. People act like it's going to end a war, have their head up their ass. What just happened?
I don't know what that.
Oh,
that just made me laugh.
Where did it go? Oh, here it is. This guy's blaming AOC for everything, apparently.
I just like that phrase. Farted.
Wow, you really scored the laugh of the day. Oh, for the win all day.
Like
for the win, for the win, for the win.
Yeah.
For the win, for the win.
I like that.
Sorry, she's really high.
No, I'm not. I've had like tea. Thank you for that.
Thank you, Orange Soul.
My grandmother used to say that every time you have a good laugh, you live 10 minutes longer. I don't know if that's true, but I'll just say that it is. Thank you, Orange Soul. Oh,
really appreciate
Malaga.
it.
Oh, wonderful. Well, thank you so much for tuning in and appreciate the donation. Wow.
Sorry, I got excited. Yes, Eric. Thank you, Nick. We'll be to the pair character in a second. But yes, Nick, Biden has said he's keeping the fucking awful Space Force. He lets weaponize space just because, yeah, we don't have the world weaponized enough. Our military in this world isn't fucking killing the planet enough, isn't killing other human beings enough. Let's weaponize the galaxy, you fucking twat bag. Are you kidding me? Yes, he's keeping the goddamn Space Force, putting whatever billions of dollars into it. I mean, it's so fucking pathetic on so many levels. And it's like, this is the guy that people are like, oh, he's gonna be peaceful, unlike Trump, who wants war. Yeah, AOC says he's exceeding expectations. Anyway.
Yeah, no, it's some bullshit. Nick with the parrot character and the donation. Parrot character excited to report that he has worked with the vegan cafe he works at to speak out about the truth of May Day, to celebrate the gains workers have made and to remember those who lost their lives in the fight. Fuck yeah, Nick.
Nice job, Nick.
Woo! Awesome. Yeah, and what a brilliant way to commemorate, to do like actual workplace organizing and workplace political education. I think like one of the things that that I think is pretty easy if people feel a little reticent about actually going in and being like, we have to organize. Like that can feel a little odd. Like start with some zines, like just printing out a few zines about what happened on May 1st and be like the friendly office, history nerd or something and be like, hey, I just thought it'd be cool to take a look at these and see like our own history and what's been done to the labor rights movement and why it's so important to commemorate that history.
And Nick, I have a challenge for you in our remaining 7 minutes. Come up with a good May Day dish that people should make. I wanted to highlight this comment because I thought you might have some great thoughts.
Yeah, no, that's a great point. And I think that, this is also done on purpose, right? It's done on purpose to get people into debt so that they are, latched to the system in an even more horrifying and direct way, like so that they can't, like being in debt your entire life causes extreme stress and really stops people from being able to engage in their communities in a lot of ways. So I think in terms of research, like I guess, like if you mean like in terms of capitalism, I guess the question is in capitalism or financial.
Yeah, so it is such a broad topic. So, I mean, for one thing, I think it's important to know that there have been decades and generations of activists trying to create the alternatives to capitalism. And they have been, attacked, arrested, sidelined. There have been wars against them on every level. And you see it continuing today. So it's important to know there's that history there. So one would be reading, these various histories of workers. Obviously, there is Karl Marx to learn an analysis of capitalism, but I wouldn't say he's the most fun to read. There's a book I haven't read called Marx Was Right that seems like it might be a better choice. But for me, what I liked a lot in terms of really understanding capitalism is Peter Joseph's The New Human Rights Movement. If you read that, it's not just an analysis of capitalism, it's an analysis of the entire socioeconomic system. But you'd have a tough time reading that book and not thinking capitalism is wildly fucked up and that it should not be that way, and that there are better alternatives out there where we could create a sustainable planet that houses, clothes, feeds everyone. That possibility is in our hands right now. We have the power, we have the people, we have the brains. It's not that it's impossible. It's that we have it and are choosing not to do it because a tiny number of individuals want to be very, very rich. So
I'd also recommend, I mentioned this before, but not in this capacity, Huey P. Newton's autobiography, Revolutionary Suicide, where he talks about not just what the Black Panthers did in regards to, fighting capitalism and their own organizing, but also talks about, first of all, the dude taught himself how to read by reading Plato, which
thanks, Jim.
Just wow. And he goes on to talk about how he got a lot of ideas by reading some other folks who had written stuff about not just capitalism, but of course, like the history of the United States and, the extreme genocide and white supremacist beginnings of this and perpetuations of this country. So, I think, there are so many good books and good zines. Again, I like zines out there. I think a good place to look, I'll just go ahead and drop the name of a couple of bookstores that have online bookshops that probably have sections like specifically about these issues. One is Firestorm Co-op. They're located in Asheville, not Nashville, Asheville, North Carolina. They're a great co-op that has a lot of radical books and topics. And the other one is Bone Shaker Books, which is in Minneapolis. Same thing there. And so, Bullet Points and Punchlines is a great one. Also, Confessions of an Economic Hitman is a really good primer on how fucked up our economic system is. He's
not in Economic Hitman. He's not really going after capitalism. He's going after our fucked government using capitalism to harm other countries. But you would learn a lot of things about capitalism and our capitalist system from that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
definitely.
Absolutely. So yeah, I can sit here and talk about books for like hours. I
know. We could go through this list for a while, but
Common Sense is a good one. Yeah, I like that one too. Here we go.
Oh, he did it. All right, guys, here's your Mayday dish.
Ooh, strawberry cucumber salad. Is anybody else feeling the need to say this in drag queen voice? Is that just me?
What is rocket?
It's a lettuce.
It is?
I think. Isn't it?
I don't know. I've never heard of it.
Strawberry cucumber salad with rocket, spinach, purple onion.
Oh, you get it. It's all red.
Almond, ricotta, strawberry vinaigrette.
Why does it have to be said
I
that
don't
way?
know, because I feel like it should be. It's you know what? It's speaking to me in that voice.
All right. Rocket is arugula.
I was right.
Rocket is the best name for a lettuce I've ever heard. Man. Thank you, Ephraim.
Yeah. No, it's yes, thank you for sharing that, Ephraim. And yeah,
I'm with you.
Yes. It is fucking grotesque, the amount of student debt, which really just perpetuates this idea that knowledge is something that only the elite should have access to. And, you know, as Cindy Sheehan and other folks have pointed out, that some people will literally sign up to kill other people, like the military, just so they can get an education. And of course, the military preys on people for that very reason. So yeah, it's fucking abhorrent, and yeah, it is definitely something that needs to be addressed. Thank you, River Run.
Thank you, River Run. Yeah, maybe we'll have to come with some more book recommendations next week. Hopefully, we'll be able to do that.
Oh, now is a good. Somebody mentioned dandelions. Now is a great time to, if you want to pick the dandelion flowers, and you can make dandelion fritters. They're
crazy.
Danish.
Did you know you can eat dandelions?
Yeah, you should eat dandelion. The entire dandelion is great for you. The root, the leaves, the flowers.
Thank you, Pharaoh.
Thank you, Pharaoh. Absolutely, a zero money system is definitely where we should be headed.
And then great point by Jake.
Oh, yeah.
Jake the Snake.
Jake the Snake.
All right, guys, we're going to be wrapping it up. But like we said, all the donations are going to those in need. If you are struggling and could use roughly $50 or to $100, it depends on what we have in the Solidarity Fund. Just email commoncensored@protonmail.com. If you enjoyed this. And by the way, if you want to donate and you're not watching this live, you can do that on Venmo @LeeCamp as well. If you're watching this, I already said that one. If you are enjoyed this, then check out our podcast, which we do together, where we just cover the news. We don't do the interaction side of things. And that's called Common Censored. And then we have a bunch of other podcasts: Government Secrets, Act Out, Silver Threads, Eleanor's amazing movie called Hard Road of Hope. It's at hardroadofhope.com. And what else?
I just want to highlight this one real quick.
Yeah.
Frank, you're more than welcome to email me, because I have someone that she should talk to. I think in these instances, it's always really powerful to talk to someone who's been there and done that, and has the mental and emotional scars to hopefully bring other people out of it. And this is somebody that I'm close with and has done a lot of activism in trying to highlight why people shouldn't go into the military. And so you're more than well, you can reach out to me via my website, artkillingapathy.com. I'd be happy to put you in touch with this person. But yeah, it's very important to try to talk people out of joining the military, even though I totally understand the financial drivers that push people into making a decision like that. But it's not worth it.
I know. I had a friend's brother, younger brother, joined because they promised him over and over that he wouldn't go to Afghanistan. They were like, "Oh no, we're not sending people to Afghanistan. You'd be." Oh, it was the National Guard too, I think. They were like, "You'll just be, you'll be sitting around here." Like they told him all these other things. At the moment he signed up, they sent him to Afghanistan. So
yeah, they don't.
They have no problem lying to these people in the recruitment.
No.
Yeah.
Well, not leaving on that note, because that's a sad note to leave on. I will just to remind you all, my film is up at hardroadofhope.com. There is a limited number of DVDs available, and so you can email me if you'd like one of those at artkillingapathy.com. And yeah, I think that's it. Tune into our podcast this week, and until next time, thank you all for all of the donations. Again, all of these donations are going to members of this community who need some support. So thank you all for that. And
now go watch Redacted Tonight, youtube.com/Redacted Tonight. All right.
Okay. Until next time.
Keep